HMS Medway, which is a Royal Navy ship, was actually in the Turks and Caicos Islands. It was supporting the Turks and Caicos, dealing with Fiona, which was a Cat 3 hurricane. But because we also had Hurricane Ian descending upon us, we asked the Royal Navy to come to Cayman as soon as possible to support us in case we needed it. So I think it's hugely impressive that they were able to sort of turn around from Turks and Caicos and come all the way here, and they arrived in our waters yesterday. It's a really difficult job following the storms and working out how best to sort of keep the ship safe as you come in to obviously very dangerous and difficult waters. But they're here, and as I said, I think that's a really good sign of what help we could expect to get if we were affected by a really serious weather event. So what we're seeing this morning is the ship itself is sort of still out to sea, but a RIB, a rigid inflatable boat, will come to Georgetown Yacht Club with about 15 or 16 commandos on it. Now these are your first responders. They're highly specialised engineers, carpenters, electricians, people who can fix a port, people who can fix your airport or support us in doing that. And they would come in immediately after the storm has passed and help us really try and, essentially make sure the port and the airport is up and running, because once we've got those fixed, the UK and others can then fly in and we can sort of ship in sort of supplies to help us deal with whatever situation we're facing. So to this morning we should see the boat of commandos arrive. They're expected shortly, and we haven't needed much support from Medway. Thankfully, I think we're all just hugely grateful that Ian really sort of glanced past us and hasn't done a huge amount of damage, but it could have been an awful lot worse. We've seen what these adverse weather events can do. But I think the key message for me is when we look at HADA, humanitarian disaster relief, and the support the UK would provide to any of the overseas territories, this ship, Medway, is really important. And there is a second ship out there this season as well, Tide Force, which did go to Turks and Caicos to support on Fiona. And I think it's just really reassuring to us and our community that the Royal Navy is out there at our time of need and would be able to come in quickly and support us.
Thankfully, this was just a practice run for us. Effectively, we didn't have much damage at all. But in the Cayman Islands, in the last 20 years, we've had a lot of experience with tremendous damage, and we certainly know where the needs are. And I think having you here is a great reassurance for our people that those types of services will be available to us when we need it to address the safety and needs of our people in our time of need, because when you have a significant hurricane impact, all you can think about is making sure that the people are safe, your families are safe, and I think this gives us a lot of confidence. So I thank you very much for being here and join with the governor. Absolutely welcome you. This is a great opportunity for us in Cayman to see exactly what you guys can do, and I think it's amazing. We're going to try to find some projects for you to do because we have had some damage, not significant. But I think this is a great opportunity, and I thank you for being here.
We were fortunately on task off TCI assisting with Hurricane Fiona. We were monitoring the weather patterns as they came through and saw that Ian was developing. Once we'd finished with Fiona, we were able to conduct a quick logistics stop, take on fuel, and pre-position ourselves to come and offer some assistance should it have been required. So, thank you for the exceptionally warm welcome that we've had. We've had some really good communication from shore. It's clear that the islands are incredibly well prepared, and all we're doing is just offering a bit of extra assistance should it be required. I'm incredibly fortunate in the fact that I've got a really capable ship, I've got a really competent team on board, and what we have is essentially it's like the big yellow pages. I've got a group of carpenters, electricians, plumbers, and everybody else on standby. So anybody you need, we can just offer a little bit of augmentation to the clearly resilient forces that you've already got here. So the ship, she's just currently to the north of Grand Cayman in a patrol area. What we found is yesterday the swell was quite high, so what we try and do is position ourselves in an area where the effects of the swell are minimised, and that's so we can get our boats away and operate our boats. We had a suitable window this morning, so she's currently patrolling offshore. She's small but perfectly formed, but the shoal area here that our draft is too great to get in. However, looking at the port around the side from Georgetown, that is somewhere that we could probably access when the weather conditions permit. So we like to practice using our boats because it shows that we can get into a lot more inaccessible places. The two boats you've seen this morning are Pacific 24 jet boats, and in addition we also have two Zodiac craft which are flat bottomed, which allow beaching. So we've got a wide range of options in order to insert the CR troops, the crisis response troops, so that they can assist where required, and also augment with our own sailors if needed. There are limitations with sea state, but what we do have is the ability to monitor the sea state, and as the storm passes, the sea state reduces, and at a suitable moment, at the earliest possible opportunity, we will insert our sea boats and insert our troops to then assist the forces ashore. Incredibly fortunate, the damage from Ian has been minimal, but equally this is a great opportunity for my team to run out, prove their capability, prove to ourselves and prove to our partners in the region that we are able to get the equipment ashore and to assist as required.
It's great to have this capacity here, so we should certainly use it. But for me, it really, Cayman is incredibly capable and resilient, and has I think one of the best disaster responses in the region. But to have this additional capacity come in just gives us so much more resilience, and I think it's just hugely reassuring.
I mean, the reality is, though, if you have a big hurricane, you are going to have big impacts and significant damage to property, and we're going to have people who are very, very concerned and who have needs. There's no question about that. So having this resource here, having the UK committed to doing this, and having them they've demonstrated incredible resiliency in being able to respond to effectively 3 different scenarios in the course of a week where overseas territories were going to be impacted, and for them to be able to demonstrate that they can help one and turn around, refuel, reprovision, and get to another one quickly, ought to offer us a tremendous amount of reassurance and a level of confidence that is appropriate to the situation that we will be facing. Having them here, and we're going to try to find things for them to do. The governor mentioned the docks, which I discussed with them earlier. There are a few docks in various communities, particularly in the eastern and southeastern side of the islands, that their carpentry skills, their engineering skills could be employed to fix very quickly. We're gonna let Danny Coleman, as the head of the hazard management, basically sort of run the show on that and try to organize those things. I've mentioned to my team that they should put those requests through there. So I'm very pleased to be able to welcome them, and as I said, as the governor has said, it's a tremendous reassurance to us that in our time of need, they'll be there to help us.
This is a really useful opportunity for us to see what the conditions are like on the ground, to keep building these really positive relationships. So, should the worst case scenario occur, we'll be even more prepared for the next instance. So, the lessons we identify from this will inform future planning efforts to make sure that we're as efficient as possible should the need arise.
I was part of the team that deployed ahead of the storm, so that's from Northwood. And our role really in the last week has been to get ahead of the storm. So we initially deployed to Boston, and as we said earlier, that was to track what was going on in the region, so we could provide that regional support and situational awareness, so we could deploy quickly to get into the areas which were most affected. Obviously that led us to come to the Cayman Islands and support the National Emergency Operations Centre, the hazard management response, given situational awareness back to London, but also to Medway, which was that's our UK MOD sort of method to get into the area, coordinate our end what we can do in terms of response, and directly support and reassure the areas that need it. And then in this case, over the last week with the Cayman Islands. So that's been, for us, that's been really beneficial, and we've really been welcomed from the beginning to do that. And that role, that coordination piece within the operations centre for us, we feel works really well, and that really allowed us to go out, look at the areas that were most affected in the last 24 hours, and feed that back into Medway, so that when they arrive today, that gives them the ability to deploy quickly into the areas that if required, obviously that need some help and support. Over the last week, we've really seen all of the stakeholders, all of the key players come together, and actually this is rehearsed, really rehearsed that, and I think that reassures a lot of people that the assets and the capabilities and the coordination and the leadership side is definitely pulling together in that respect.
For me, and I've said this to London, it's been a classic crisis response. You over-respond to be ready, and then pare back if you have to. And I think we've done that. Team Cayman, the whole Team Cayman and the UK component, having the UK Olympic team here in advance, Medway coming in straight away. It's been for me a real excellent demonstration of what dealing with a crisis is all about.